Time.
Right. So Elizabeth asks, do you find that remediation for students with executive function skills are similar among people across different neurological profiles, for example, ADHD versus ASD?
Okay, great question, first of all. And then I'm going to use, instead of the term remediation, I'll say support. And then I'll say that my answer to your question is yes and no. So on the one hand, yes, and I'll make it make sense to you. Don't worry. If we look at the umbrella of executive function, so the way I look at executive function is how the brain helps us to get things done. Now, if we look under the umbrella, the pieces of executive function, that those are the more specific executive function skills. So you could break them down into, you could say, different experts say it differently, but you could say planning and self-regulation and time management and organization, or whatever, however you want to break them down. So you're looking at executive function from this sort of big picture perspective, and then all these skills. So the support for kids, some kids have certain challenge areas, executive function areas, skill sets that are really lacking, and others where they're fairly strong in. And so it depends on the kid. So there's a term in education called differentiation, and we differentiate to meet the needs of individual students. Now, when you have schools that have, it's kind of confusing because they say that teachers should differentiate, and then they have a system where they have a curriculum that's driven by standards, and they have to meet all these standards. So it acts as if everybody is sort of in this box in the middle of the bell curve, and we're trying to make them all on the right grade level, as if, but kids are all over the place in different places. So teachers that are really good, though, at differentiation are differentiating what's called content, process, product, and environment. You can look that up. I don't have time to get into that, but essentially, the way that the answer is no, it's all different. Well, you're going to differentiate or adjust or tailor or personalize or customize a curriculum or a learning experience for a kid differently based on their needs. So they'll have different content, process, product, environment, and brilliant teachers do this very well. So in that way, it can be very different. In the way that it's the same, everybody is developing the same executive function skills, whatever you want to call them, doesn't matter. I talk about 13 or 14, depending on the day, and I have an assessment that lists them out, whatever. Some experts say 3, 5, 8, 10, whatever. But you can look at kids or people in terms of the different particular skill sets, and you can see how it's different for each kid, but you're still looking at the same skill sets to evaluate them if you have a model to look with, rather than just a shot in the dark and just trying a bunch of things. You can get much more precise in how you're going to support them if you have a way to conceptualize and speak about the skill sets. Did that answer that, Yulia?
I
Or
think so. I think you went
whoever?
into a good amount of depth.